Welcome back, you guys. In honor of Halloween, we are going to take a look at Jack the Ripper. We are in a Halloween mood, and today's tutorial, we are going to be creating a title sequence. If you guys have seen the True Detective Season 1 opening titles, that was our inspiration for today's tutorial, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Today we're going to start off a little bit different. Today we are going to go directly into Firefly. Like a lot of you guys, I'm brand new to Firefly, so I'm just trying to figure things out. And as you can see here, I've done a lot of trial and error. But what I've come to figure out is that, Firefly is really good when you don't have an idea. It can generate some crazy things. But when you have something specific in mind, it's a little bit harder. And the reason for that is because of the prompt. The prompt, I've gone through several variations. I've even tried going to ChatGPT and just saying, hey, ChatGPT, help me write a prompt for an image generation of a newspaper, time period correct, of a Jack the Ripper headline. Maybe something like Ripper has struck again. I need the entire page generated with all of the other article, not just the main headline. And so you see here a full page Finton London newspaper for the 1800s. That's what So I use a prompt to generate a prompt, which I'm going to use to prompt Firefly. What I've found to be helpful in writing your prompt for Firefly is if you want to start off with the location, the object, the point of focus, angle of the shot, and the lighting of the shot. So just keep those 5 things in mind, and you should be able to come up with a pretty decent prompt. And again, if not, you can always put all that into ChatGPT, say, hey, ChatGPT, here's the 5 main points I want to hit. This is what I'm trying to do. Now help me write a prompt. As you see over in Firefly, I was able to create several scenes. Ooh, that one's creepy. Look at that. I don't know if you can see what's going on there, but anyway, so after I generated some images, I found some that I liked. For example, I believe this is one. So once I find some that I like, I click on this upscale, and this is going to take it up to 2K. That way, when I download it, it's going to be big enough that I can animate across it. This set that it gave me right here was actually really good. Like you can see Jack walking. Oh, that one's creepy. I don't know who's he's sneaking up on, but that's creepy. So one of the main images that I wanted was this here. And you can see here the prompt that I used for it, and generally it was the same prompt. Oh boy, I don't know what happened here, but I wanted a horse in the shot, and so it thought it wanted me to put the horse in the top coat. Yeah. AI, gotta love AI. So then I generated some newspapers, some headlines, and as you can see, AI does not do the best with text. It has a really hard time with the text, actually. I'm just gonna use it as texture, so it's not too important. After generating some images in Firefly, I took one of those images, put it in here as a starting frame for the video. I used the same prompt that I used to create the image. And then the only thing that's really important here is that you make sure that you choose 1080 and then widescreen. And that's going to give you the best resolution that you can out of Firefly. And then you can go ahead and put that back into After Effects. The other thing I did is that I took some of the images from Firefly into Photoshop, cleaned them up, put them back into Firefly, and created some videos out of those. Here for one of the main shots, I wanted to get a top hat on the street, but it had a hard time putting just a little bit of blood. You can see AI was in the holiday spirit here, and when it put blood on there, it really put some blood on there. Anyways, the final image that I ended up going with is this one, and you can see here it just looks like blood and guts and looks a little too gory for my taste. So what I did is I took it into Photoshop. Let me go ahead and try to clean this up, and the way I'm going to do it is just by using my selection tool, my lasso tool. I'm just going to circle some of these areas. Let's see, let's go ahead and try just generative fill, and we'll see what it does. Okay, that looks a little better. There's still quite a bit of smattering on there, so let's go ahead and clean that up even more so. Okay, it's getting better. Let's take a look at our options here. I think I like that one the best. Also on the street, you notice that it did quite a bit on the street here. So let's go ahead and get rid of some of this. And again, I'm just going to say generative fill, and Photoshop is smart enough that it can replace a lot of this on its own. And you can see I'm being pretty loose with this. You want to give it enough room that it can merge some of this with the existing shot. Okay, that's a little better. And I'm going to go back here. This time I am going to give it some direction. I'm going to say add fog. I don't know what that is, but that does not look like fog. So I'm going to go into my crop tool, and I like this, but I don't necessarily want this center of frame here. I want to offset it just a little bit. So let's go ahead and try adding some this way. I do like that it falls off into the darkness here. And then I'm going to try adding some, let's give it a little bit more. Hit enter. And that's going to give me some room to move my camera around and really animate this scene here. And then lastly, I'm going to hit L for the lasso tool. And then lastly, I'm going to go through and select this and say nighttime. I don't know if that's 2 T's or 1. Ooh, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. And I'm going to type in moon over here. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do Command-Shift-E, and that's going to merge everything into one single shot. And then I'm going to drag that back down, use my object selection tool, and then I'm going to select the top hat here. I want to mask that off. I'm going to go back to my main image, background. I'm just going to select the hard shadow here. I'm not going to worry too much about the reflection. And then I'm going to type in remove. Okay. It added a box for some reason. What's in the box? If you know the movie, go ahead and comment down below. If you don't know, you should know. I think I kind of like, what do you guys think? That one or that one? I think I kind of like that one. We can select these 3, hit Command-E to merge those 3, and then that way we still have our top hat on a separate layer. We want to be able to move our camera around just a little bit. And so that's going to give it some parallaxing here with the street, and that'll look really cool. All right, so let's go ahead and save that. All of our assets are now done. So let's go ahead and go back to After Effects and let's get animating. So I've used Soundstripe for today's video. Soundstripe is not a sponsor. It'd be great if it were, but I did go over to video and I just looked for a bunch of different videos that I could use within my scene here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring all those assets in, and then we'll go ahead and get started in building this scene. I've gone ahead and brought in all of my assets. So I think what we want to start off is with that main Photoshop file. Let's go ahead and bring that up. Let's just use this. Sure, why not? Let's make that 3D. And then let's go ahead and add a camera, new camera. And then let's go ahead and make this a 2-node camera and click OK. And then I'm going to add a little bit of depth here. So I'm going to go about 300. And then I'm going to scale down this top hat probably about to there. That looks a little bit more perspective-wise. I mean, if you look at the street, maybe you can go down just a little bit more. But if you look at the street, the perspective of the top hat should be, or the scale of the top hat should be a little bit smaller in comparison. Okay, so now that we have that separated, I added my camera, and then I'm going to toggle this down, the layer controls, and I'm going to set a keyframe for point of interest and position, and then I'm going to go, all these shots should really be about 5 seconds, probably no longer than that. And then I'm just going to set another keyframe. Go back to our project here. Let's go to Firefly, and what we're looking for is a wide shot. Let's go ahead and bring this down here. That's the one. Let's go ahead and hit S for scale, and let's bring that down to scale. Let's type in 50, and then that's about all we want to use. Yeah, let's go ahead and do 3 seconds. So let's go to our rotoscope. Double click on that image. Our rotoscope, let's go ahead and draw this in, make that bigger. Okay, I think we just about have it all. Okay, let's hit the page down just to make sure that that's all included in the mask. Hit page down a few more times just to make sure the mask is still holding up. It is, so let's go ahead and go all the way to the end of the clip. Okay, let's go ahead and close that out. Go back to our main timeline here. Now you see that we have our, and this has our roto, so let's call it roto. This one we don't need. And then what I want to do here is copy this roto, and then I'm going to place it on the street wide. And then I'm going to copy this layer and then push it all the way underneath. Excellent. That's what we want right there. Now you can see we're starting to get this cool effect here. Now let's go ahead and pre-compose the street view because I want this zooming in as that silhouette is zooming out. So let's go ahead and Command-Shift-C for pre-compose. Leave all the attributes and credits and call this Street Man. Go ahead and double click on the Street Man and then hit S for scale. So let's just call this 120. Doesn't look like it zoomed in at all, huh? Oh, and that's because it's 20 seconds. So let's go ahead and bump that up to about 5 seconds. Let's take a look here. So the roto and so there. So let's go ahead and trim that. Now let's go ahead and go back to our mode and let's go ahead and multiply this and reveal all our other layers. Now you can see it start to take shape. So let's go ahead and hit T for transparency. Let's bump that down just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up a new effect. Let's tint this whole thing. Let's look for tint. Let's go ahead and throw a tint on there. And then under tint, instead of a black, I'm going to do like a, should we do like a brown or a blue? Let's do a dark blue. And then map white. And let's go with like a light blue on here. Okay, hit T for transparency. Let's bump that down even more so. Let's go about 35. Let's go ahead and get rid of this roto back here and back here. Let's go back to our project. Let's go ahead and look for the Soundstripe folder. And then under the Soundstripe folder, I know I have some smoke here. So let's go ahead and try smoke 5. And let's add that in here. Very cool. Let's go ahead and bump that over here. And then let's go to right click, go to time, enable time stretch. Let's do 200%. We want to slow this down. It always throws me off because it's backwards in After Effects and Premiere. So I'm going to hit T for transparency. I'm going to hit exclusion. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Oh. And then I'm also going to throw another tint on there. Now we're starting to get somewhere. And then I probably want to do that on this one as well. So that way everything's starting to mesh. And then I'm going to go to our Street Man rotoscope. I'm going to feather this quite a bit. So I'm going to say 20. And then our Jack rotoscope, I'm also going to say 20 on that one. Contrast, I'm going to take that down. This is unfortunate. His hand holding the knife in a silhouette mode doesn't look so good. Well, you guys will forgive me, right? So all of that, we're going to go ahead and say is going to end at 3 seconds. So I'm going to select everything, hit Option, close bracket, and that's going to trim everything down to that. And then under our smoke, we can take that down to screen. It doesn't do anything because it's underneath everything. Ooh, that looks kind of cool, you guys. Do we like the colorful or do we like the... Nah, I think we like the washed out. I mean, if we're going for this look, let's go for the washed out, right? Okay, so that settles it. And then amount to tint, I think I want to take that down just a little bit just so we keep some of those original colors, but not all of them. Okay, that's looking really good. Let's go ahead and move on to the next scene. I think I want to use this horse. Let's bring in our bridge here. We want to make the horizon line about there. I think I want to hit S for scale and make this just... Actually, I want to make this just a little bit smaller. And the reason is we're going to cut it out with the horse's head. So now we can go ahead and hit A for anchor and then put this over to the side. I just want to get a little bit more of this tower in there. And I don't want to stab him in the eye with it. So let's move him down over just a little bit and then down. That way those points are pointing right up to his eye. Okay, let's copy and duplicate this layer, the horse layer. Let's bump that up one. What I want to do is select my clock tower. Under matte, I want to set this to horse. And then we want to make it a luma key. Hit T for transparency and let's bump that all the way up to 100. And then under horse, let's go ahead and hit level. Actually, let's do tint. And let's put that on there just to convert it over to a black and white. We're going to do this just so you can see it here. And then let's go ahead and do levels. And then let's put levels on here. And then we are going to bump this up. So this way you start to see what's going on here. So we're going to make a matte that's going to be a luma matte. Anything that's white is going to hide. Anything that's dark is going to show through. Let's go ahead and hide that. And now we see our bridge there. So let's go ahead and go to the bridge and then add let's actually copy the tint that's over here. Let's add our levels. Actually, let's add our curves. And then we're just going to bump this up just so we get a little bit more definition in that bridge. Yeah, there we go. Then let's copy and paste this one more time. G for the pen tool. And then let's just draw a mask around the eye here. Then hit F for feather. And then we're just going to feather that a lot. Let's go ahead and grab that tint, copy, and then go to our base horse layer, paste it on there. Let's grab our top horse layer, paste it on there. Take that down just a little bit, and then go to our horse. Did I do one too many horses? I think I might have done one too many horses. All right, so we applied the tint to the bottom. This is our bridge. This is our matte, our luma matte. And then this is our eye for the horse. Kind of anticlimactic, but that's okay. Let's move on to the next shot. All right, let's go ahead and find our next scene here. Let's try this one. Let's go ahead and go back to our Firefly, and this is where we're going to use another one of our generated, and this one's called Window Jack. So let's go ahead and try doing just a simple luma matte and see what happens here. That's kind of cool because you can kind of see the light is coming from the same place in both. Let's bump up the curves here. That looks kind of cool. Let's bump this back down. Yeah, it looks cool. Let's go back to our project. Let's see, we should have some ink blots that I downloaded. Let's just preview these. Not that one. That's kind of interesting. Ink 2. Let's try ink 3. Let's throw that on here. Okay, let's go ahead and close this and then throw the tint on there just to make this black and white. Let's do a levels just to bump up the contrast. Go ahead and make this a multiply. And then let's try an invert on here and see what that looks like. That looks interesting. The woman in the woods is getting lost though, so I'm going to bump the scale of that up and then I'm going to put it over. That looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and select all of these, hit the open bracket just to line them all up. We want this to start a little bit sooner. Hit option close bracket just to trim them all there. And then I'm going to grab the window jack, copy and paste that. Multiply looks kind of cool. Let's go ahead and hit S for scale and then just bump that up just so we're not seeing the edges here. And then let's go back to this one here and grab the tint, copy that. Let's place it on this one, this one, this one. Okay, that looks great. Let's go ahead and add. Okay, let's go to 10 seconds and then let's try for one last scene. And I think this last scene we want to end with the top hat. All right, let's choose all of these, hit the close bracket. Let's get rid of the second fire for now, or the first fire, I guess. And then on this one, we want to try let's go for screen. And then copy and duplicate that layer. Let's bump the top hat on top of that. And then under fire 2, let's tint that. Make it black and white. You know the game here. Let's go to our levels. And then let's make this pretty extreme because what we want to be showing is the top hat there. So let's go ahead and choose fire for the matte and then turn that to a luma matte. Reverse. There we go. Then copy and paste that fire. Put that on top. Let's go ahead and copy the tint. Throw it on the fire and then throw it on this fire as well. And then let's go with levels here. And then let's bump up the black. Looks like we're already at 5 seconds. Let's activate that camera. And then let's back this off. We don't want to make this zoom quite so severe. Let's go with that. And then at the beginning here, let's go with that. Then let's give it a little bit of parallax here. Let's go ahead and go back to our credits. And then let's try an invert on this fire and see what that looks like. A lot of this is trial and error. Ooh. See? Happy accidents. Happy accidents. Yeah. All right, let's try the invert on the yellow fire. Ooh, what did I tell you? Yeah, that's looking cool. Well, let's try that on that. If it worked once, ooh, it works twice. Nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. Okay, so the fire here is a little bit too blue. Let's see if we can find the fire that's blue. So let's go ahead and make a new adjustment layer here. So Option Command Y. And then here we are going to do the hue saturation, put that on top of there. And then we're going to take the saturation down. Let's go ahead and go back to the beginning of this. Hit Option open bracket. Go back to the end of this. Hit O. And then Option close bracket. And that's going to trim down that layer. So now we have this. So now we have our opening scene, the horse, this, the woman in the woods, the hat in the alleyway. And now, should we add one more scene? Why not? Let's go. I think I'm on a roll. All right, so 10 seconds. Let's go ahead and add another video. Let's see what we have here. We have a cow. Ooh, we have this guy. Let's see what this guy is. Ooh, that could be interesting. I can play with that. I think we have our next one. Let's go ahead and trim that down. Let's go ahead and find what we are going to reveal. Set S for scale. Let's take that down 50%. I think we're going to do the same trick with the Lumamat. So let's go ahead and do a tint levels. Go ahead and crank the whites and crush the blacks. So under the track, let's go ahead and set this to creepy. I think seeing these tombstones and that is interesting. Okay, now let's go ahead and colorize all this. So let's grab the tint. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our curves like so, and then bring our darks down like so. Let's try a new white solid. Bump this down. Matte, let's change that over to creepy. And same thing. And then hit G. So we did the same settings as this previous one down here. And then we're going to do G to get our mask tool. And then I just want to paint a little bit of this out. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, let's hit F for feather. And under add, let's change that to subtract. I actually think we went the wrong color with our layers. So let's go ahead and hit Command Shift Y. This is going to allow us to change that color to black. Click OK. Yes, there we go. And then let's click subtract. Yeah, that's going to work better. So let's go ahead and let's animate this mask a little bit. So go back to the beginning of that clip. Let's hit a keyframe. Put this up here a little bit and then just kind of mess with it like so. Because I just want to around that face. Yeah, looks good. Okay, and the same thing we've done before. Let's go ahead and add our ink. Let's see, where is the ink? Ink. Let's go with ink too. All right. And then hit S for scale. Let's bump that all the way up to so. Let's go ahead and make the matte, the creepy matte. We want it to be behind this. And then same thing, we're going to do the tint to turn it black and white because we don't want a red. And then we want to reverse it, so invert it. Let's also do levels. And then one more tint. Let's go copy that tint, go back up to our ink levels, and then paste the tint. That invert looks really cool, actually, just because it feels kind of like a sepia tone. So I'm going to try putting it on that as well. I actually really like that. You know what? I might do that to all of it. Nope. No, I'm not. I lied. I was just going to keep it on those two middle ones. All right, just to review. What is going on there? What tarnations? Let's go in. Let's trim this. So Command close bracket. Oh, sorry. Command open bracket. Go to out. Command close bracket. I think the last thing I want to do is just kind of give it an overall effect, just to mesh it all into one thing. So I'm going to do another adjustment layer. So Option Command Y will create adjustment layers. And then I want to do a, let's go ahead and go to our project, and then let's add some particles in. And then under, let's set that to screen. And then let's put another particle in. And let's set that to screen. And then let's take this and tint it so that way we only see the black and white. Yeah, I wanted to get some of that blood color out of that, just so you can see the blood. That horse shot isn't very interesting, but you know what, guys? It's a little late now. We could go back and replace it if we wanted to. Let's try an invert on that knife and see what it looks like. What do you guys think? I think I kind of like it. Or maybe it's just because I really wanted to cover up that horse. But either way, I think it kind of works. I have an idea. Let's get rid of the horse. Oh, no. Wilbur. How cool would that look right there? I don't know, guys. I'm just making this up. I don't even work here. Okay, hit M for mask. Okay, just like that. Copy and paste that knife. Let's invert on the knife. Okay, so now that we have our knife, let's turn on our curves. And there we go. That feels a little bit more appropriate other than the horse. I don't know why I put the horse in there. I'm also going to do a mask around here. We'd really see that red color kind of popping through. I think what we can do is we can throw the, let's see, newspaper. Let's go ahead and throw that on there. S for scale. Let's take that down to 32. And then we're going to throw an invert on there. We're also going to throw a levels. And then I'm going to trim that down. And we're just going to play this for 1 second. So it's almost like a, it's like, wait, what did I just see? And then I want to do another tint. Copy and paste that layer. And then we're just going to do that for transition. Let's go ahead and put both of those. And then let's actually make this almost like a flash. And then I'm going to try doing a Command Y, make a black. I'm going to call this shutter. I'm going to double click on the rectangle to make a mask. Hit M for mask. Use my page down button to go down 2 frames. I'm going to double click on the mask. I'm going to click and drag up holding the Command key. And then I'm going to copy and paste that frame. And then I'm going to go to subtract. Gaussian blur. And I'm going to blur this quite a bit. So we're actually going to do a shutter. And then let's go ahead and copy all of those. Copy. Well, actually, let's go here. Let's try an invert on this because I think I might want it white. Let's go back to Adobe. Adobe stock. Let's go ahead and search for a city map. Yeah, I like this one. Let's go ahead and download this one. Download. Let's go back to After Effects. Let's import that map. Now let's bring this in as a composition. Let's go to exclusion. Scale. Let's bring that down. Let's do subtract. Subtract. That looks kind of cool. All right, let's try that. Okay, let's go ahead and hit close bracket. Go page up a couple of times and then open bracket. So this is going to give it that flash. I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and take the scale or the opacity of this all the way down so it's just barely seen. And then rotate. We are going to add just a slight rotation as well. So let's go 4 degrees. So there we go, guys. Let's go ahead and add some titles here. Let's type in The Ripper. Take this all the way up. It's a little too cute. Hey guys, I'm the Ripper. There we go. There we go. Maybe we try this. It's a little modern, but you know, maybe. Okay, let's try fill. Let's select. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, let's go back to our, where is our inks? Inks. S for scale here. And then we're going to set that jack to the ink layer, which is number 26. That didn't do anything, and it's because we have to activate the Lumamat. Nope, we have to activate that one. And then under the Ripper, I think we want to do the same thing with the ink blot. Let's go ahead and put it in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and change that over to the ink blot. Sound effects would really help here. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and throw in a music track here. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Throw in a music track. Duplicate that. Hit LL to see the music track. I don't usually edit my music in After Effects, but I'm just doing this real quick just so you guys can see how to deal with music. Let's see what that sounds like. And there you go, you guys. Hopefully you guys had as much fun watching this as I had making the tutorial. Just like you guys, I'm learning Firefly. I'm learning how to use AI. I'm learning how to incorporate that into my workflow. I'm hoping to utilize AI more and more and more effectively to get more creative with it, to be able to create more amazing things. All right, so if you guys like what you saw, make sure you comment down below. Please like the video. And if you guys like what you're seeing, check out the other videos and subscribe to the channel. Once again, I'm Julio, your motion sidekick, here to help you out on your motion side quest. And until next time, I love you guys. Peace out.